Liverpool again.
Hello.
Welcome
to Football Weekly. There's
I'm thinking of the wrong one.
Luke Mason,
Hello.
Stanley,
Are you filming?
and Callum Lomax. Yeah, I am. Say hello, Callum.
I wonder if this will skin. No.
Yes. This week I'm in Blackpool.
Woo! Yay! That's a really bad film.
So, yeah, I'm here in a Derby shirt to watch Derby versus Blackpool. Come on, Blackpool Derby! Yay! Before I start this week's Football Weekly, I should just run through the rules for the score prediction thing. Basically, it's 1 point for a totally correct result. So, say, I don't know, I predict 2-1 win to Chelsea, and Chelsea win 2-1, so that would be a full point. But I get a half point if I predict the correct winning team. So I say, I don't know, Man U to win 3-2, but they actually win 2-1, so I get a half point. Or if I get the correct score, so I say Villa win 2-1, but they actually lose 2-1, so I get a half point for that. Bit of a dubious one, I think, but you know, why not, eh? So, the first game this weekend is Sunderland-Newcastle on Saturday at 12 o'clock. Last week, Sunderland drew with Liverpool and Newcastle drew with Arsenal. So, I'm predicting score draw, but let's see who else predicts something for this game. So, Edward, let's get your score prediction for Sunderland-Newcastle.
I reckon it could be 2-1.
2-2.
I don't play football.
Thanks, Edward. That's
No problem.
really nice. The next game is Arsenal versus Liverpool. Like I said, with Sunderland-Newcastle, Arsenal drew with Newcastle and Liverpool drew with Sunderland. But I fancy Arsenal to just nick it, even though they lost Cesc Fabregas this week and Nasri seems to be going. But let's see who else has a prediction for this game. George Clooney! What a star! Now, you're a Liverpool fan, so what do you reckon the score will be?
5-0.
To Liverpool. Of course. Thanks, Ozzy. At 3 o'clock on Saturday there's 3 games. One of them is Aston Villa versus Blackburn. Last week Aston Villa drew against Fulham and Blackburn lost against Wolves. So going on that, I think Villa will win 3-2. Ozzy, I hear you were born in Aston. So how do you fancy giving the Aston Villa versus Blackburn score prediction? 2-1, 2. Villa. Right. Great. Thanks, Edward. The next 3 o'clock game is Everton versus QPR. Last week Everton didn't play, obviously, because their game against Tottenham was called off due to the riots. And QPR lost heavily against Bolton. So I think QPR will lose again. So I think Everton 1-0. The third 3 o'clock game on Saturday is Swansea versus Wigan. This week, or last week rather. Sorry, hang on. Decent music. That'll do. Sorry, where was I? Yes, last week Swansea lost 4-0 against Man City, and Wigan drew against Norwich. But I think Wigan will win this I think they're too good for Swansea. So I think 2-1 to Wigan. The tea time game this Saturday is Chelsea versus West Brom. Last week Chelsea drew and West Brom lost. So I think Chelsea will win this. So I think 3-0 to Chelsea. Even though they've lost Petr Cech, I think, this week to injury, I still think they'll get a clean sheet. So yeah. The first Sunday game is at 1:30. It's Norwich versus Stoke. Last week Norwich and Stoke both drew, and I think they'll draw again this week. I think they're quite even, so I'm going to go for 2-2. The next Sunday game is at 2 o'clock at the Molineux. It's Wolves versus Fulham. Last week Wolves won and Fulham drew, but I think Fulham will get an away win, slight advantage. I think 1-0 to Fulham. The last Sunday game is 4 o'clock and it's Bolton versus Man City. Last week these teams both won 4-0. But I can't see it being 4-4 or something like that, no. But I think it will be a Man City win, but I reckon Bolton will get a goal or two, so I think 3-1 to Man City. The Monday night game is 8 o'clock, Man United versus Tottenham. Last week Man U won and Tottenham didn't play because of the riots and that. So I think Man United will beat them. I reckon 2-1 to Man United.
This week my special guest is Wayne Rooney. Hello, Clooney. I'm here to predict the score of Man United versus Tottenham on Sunday night or Monday night. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Man U. Yay!
So, oh crap, sorry, camera's rubbish. So, during my score predictions, I briefly touched on last week's results, but I thought I'd go through them in more detail for you and give you my score prediction results from last week. So, the first game was Blackburn versus Wolves. A good game. Like I said, two evenly matched teams. Blackburn took the lead through Mauro Formica on his debut, but Wolves pulled back with Stephen Fletcher and Stephen Ward as well, and they ended up winning 2-1. So yeah, my prediction was 2-1 to Blackburn, so I've given myself a half point for that, because as I mentioned earlier in the rules, I got the right score, so yes, it's half point for me. The next game was Fulham versus Aston Villa. Again, like I said, two evenly matched teams, two good keepers as well, and I think that's why it ended up 0-0 really. Shay Given was on top form on his Aston Villa debut. My camera died at the end of that last one, so sorry about that. But so yeah, the final score Fulham Villa was 0-0 in the end, which means I get a half point because I predicted a 2-2 draw, so that's not bad. Yes. So yeah, the next game was Liverpool versus Sunderland. Liverpool started brightly. Suarez missed a penalty, but then he scored a header. But Sunderland equalised through a great volley from Sebastian Larsson on his debut. So the game finished 1-1. which means I get no points because I predicted a Liverpool win. So there we go. Next game was QPR versus Bolton. QPR brought back down to earth really. Got hammered in the end, 4-0. Great goal from Gary Cahill to start it off. Then Danny Gabidon scored an own goal on his debut for QPR. What a way to start. And then 2 more goals from Klasnic and Muamba wrapped up the 4-0 win for Bolton. Again, I get no points for that because I predicted a draw, but Bolton won, so there we go. The last 3 o'clock game last weekend was Wigan versus Norwich. I predicted a 2-2 draw and it actually finished 1-1, so I get another half point. Goals from Ben Watson for Wigan and Wes Hoolahan for the newbies Norwich. Got the draw, yeah, so another half point. The tea time game was Newcastle versus Arsenal. I think the main focus for this game was not actually the game itself, but the things that happened. Quite a lot of violence. Joe Barton got stamped on, and then Gervinho was sent off on his Arsenal debut after a spat with Joey Barton. So yes, the game itself though actually finished 0-0. I predicted lots of goals and actually got none, so no points for me. The first Sunday game was Stoke versus Chelsea. I actually went and watched this, the local club. Quite a good game. Chelsea obviously looked the better team, but Stoke played quite well at times as well. Jonathan Woodgate making his Stoke debut, keeping a clean sheet, so it's not bad for him. Yeah, finished up 0-0 in the end though. I'd predicted a 2-0 Chelsea win, so again, no points for me. And the second Sunday game was West Brom versus Man United. In the end, finished 2-1 for Man United. Goals from Wayne Rooney and a Stephen Reed own goal after sort of a goal mouth melee. Young put the ball in, hit one guy and hit Reed and went in, so it was unlucky for West Brom really. West Brom had equalised through Long on his debut. Another mistake from De Gea. But yeah, so a half point for me. I predicted Man U win and they did, so there we go. And the Monday night game, and again I watched this at the club, is Man City Swansea. Great game really. Well, at the end it was. At the start it was a bit boring. Man City were on top throughout, you know. I think they were all second half goals actually. Zeko, David Silva, and then Aguero got 2 on his debut, and he set up the Silva goal as well when he was only on for half an hour. So yeah, fantastic for him really. Finished up 4-0, and I actually predicted 4-0, so that's a full point, which means for the first week I get a total of half, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, 3 out of 9, which isn't bad. Let's hope I do better next week. Next week's Football Weekly normal service is resumed. This week's been a bit mad, but yeah, next week back to normal. I'd just like to say a special thanks to Robert Pattinson, Ozzy Osbourne, George Clooney and Wayne Rooney for joining us in Blackpool and giving us some score predictions, and Dan Lear, Luke Mason and Callum Lomas as well. So yes, see you next week.